We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions.
E-A-G-L-E-S, Swinging a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup. The Flyers win the Stanley Cup. For the lead. Yes! Iverson, wow, what a fake off Daniels as he broke his ankles and got all the way to the cup.
Well, good morning.
Oh, hello there, chaps. Welcome
Got-
in to
got
Drunk
the,
as Broad. I'm Merle Reese. No, I'm just kidding.
Come on, Rich. You need some work.
Oh, Saturday mornings are fun,
Oh.
especially when you have your coffee and it's not 8 o'clock at night where I'm like fucking dragging my feet and like, let's fucking go. I'm about to pass out.
Got the
This is-
extra dark roast on deck, right?
The extra dark roast might have some Rise Fuel, sponsored by Rise Fuel Sunny D. It's a Tang kick in a glass. No, I'm just kidding. We're not sponsored by that. Remember when we were sponsored by Shock? Are we still sponsored by them?
Nah, I mean, it's.
Oh, that was the other
No,
network, right?
it-
Yeah, that was the other.
yeah, it's. Yeah. I mean, I guess
Yep.
at some point I should update the logos and stuff. But
Is
listen,
Mike
speaking of sponsors,
Is Mike Gilletto here? Mike Gilletto, are you around? Can you please get us sponsored by maybe Folgers or how about Monster? So we don't have to spend our hard work fucking money trying to wake up and produce content for you, you fucking dictator. I'm just
Well,
kidding.
listen, when we get to that topic, which I'm sure we will, one of our
On
new
Mike being a
sponsors-
dictator, that's on the list today.
No,
Come
But
on,
we have,
John, take that off the list.
no.
It wasn't in the
Keep
show
it-
notes.
Keep it on the list. Keep it on the list. Who knows?
We
Listen.
say that for Festivus.
Oh, yeah, we can save that for the Festivus
Save-
for the rest of us. Absolutely. Well,
Carry on.
Gentlemen.
I'll stop.
we had some huge news drop earlier in the week, right?
What
The best center in Eagles history decides.
Oh my
It's a
God! I
conflict.
felt like that was Jesus Christ. It was earlier this week.
That was earlier this week, and
stinks.
it stung, man. That was and I don't know about you, right? But I didn't, because of the timing at school. I didn't watch the press conference live, but I listened back to it on the way home, and I was like, I felt like I had tears. You felt the emotion, you felt the connection, and if there was not a better person to ever embody the fans and what this city means, he just got it. He got it from day one, and happy for him that he's going out on his own terms. He's not going out on an injury. He's going out. He's going to have a very, very successful post career in whatever he decides to do, whether that's just the show with his brother, or I know that there's some talk that he might dabble in some Thursday night football stuff. Like he's going to have his options open, but just in one sense, really happy for him. In another sense, right, you're sad because you're losing a player that is insanely connected to the fans.
No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Go ahead,
it was just one of those things, man. Like, it kind of like stung you, but the good thing is you understood, right? And you saw the fire and you saw the passion, and it's like you come in and you listen to a lot of people's shows, right? If you listen to our show and you listen to other people and how critical we can be of the Eagles, right? We're not critical because we want to be Negadelphians. We're critical because we just want the effort. And, Jason Kelsey pretty much hit that on the head with the fans. Like, we will support you at your highest and we'll let you know when you're doing wrong. And, the season in a nutshell, we were riding such a high and then, it came monumentally crashing down. And we were so critical over the players and the staff. I'm not critical because I hate them. I'm critical because that's my passion. It's my love for this city is the Philadelphia Eagles, the embodiment, the rich history and what it means to Philadelphia, to strive for that championship, that blue collar, the blue collar work ethic where you're just, hey man, like put your best foot forward and go out and perform. And you can lose games. That's fine. Like, I never want to see my team be perfect because then how do you deal with adversity? But when you're close to perfection and you just have such a drop off and it's like, where did things go wrong? You become critical. But you see the sparks and you just see the effort. And it's just like, you see what AJ Brown did to WIP and you see these guys coming up and they're sticking up for themselves. And it's like, I respect the fuck out of all these players. And I respect Jason Kelsey for everything he said because he was so spot on. It's one of the toughest places to play, but you give us your all. I don't give a fuck. That's why, you look at it. That's why we love TJ McConnell. Wasn't the greatest fucking player in the world, but that motherfucker embodied Philly. That guy fucking hustled every single time he was out here. Why do we turn so quick on James Harden? Why do we turn so quick on Ben Simmons? Because there was no effort. There was a lack of everything. And that's, stop it. The embodiment of Philly. And Jason Kelsey was that. He was everything that we could ask for and we could wish for. And I wish him well in his endeavors, and I hope he still stays close to the team. I hope he helps with, some developmental stuff with the offensive line. Like, it just sucks because I don't want him to go away. I don't want Jason Kelsey to go away. I want his presence to be felt. And, you take a guy like that out of the locker room, it's just it's going to knock you down a few pegs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to jump off what Don was saying, I mean, he was the story. He was the Eagles version of Rocky the movie. The underdog, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna, he's gonna have to go to a D2 school or a D3 school. He's not gonna make it at a D1 level. All they told him his whole life that he wasn't good enough. He walked on at Cincinnati, and now, I mean, the guy is arguably going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2029. So, he walked what this city is about: the underdog, the runner up, the guy who had to conquer everything to show the city and the world that he made it. He made it. He won a championship with us. I mean, you couldn't have written a better story, a real life story, whether it's sports or anything, with a guy like him. And he got it. He was always on point. He was always accessible. With the fans, the media, his teammates, coach, everybody.
The trainers.
The trainer, everybody. He named. I mean, there are people that he named that nobody knows, who they are, but he gave credit to all of those people throughout his life journey. He saved Travis's butt in school, and look at Travis Kelsey now. Travis Kelsey is going to be a Hall of Fame tight end, and his brother has a lot to do with that. So he transformed and transcended, his position, and being a Philadelphia athlete. Like you couldn't have asked for anything more.
How many centers are household names? Like, that's
right.
The whole thing. How many centers do you know nationwide? Like, that's the whole thing. Like, Jason Kelsey transcended that position, and he became that guy you fell in love with the personality and who he is. It's like, you look at this guy and you're like, he's a fucking quarterback. Like, this dude is he runs that offense. It's like, no, that's the center. Yeah, a lot of things go through him, but
right.
You just see that motivated his teammates, how he changed the landscape in Philadelphia, and all the things that he did outside of the position and outside of football, which is what makes him great. And that's what we're going to miss the most from Jason. I'm going to miss center Jason Kelce, but I'm going to miss the guy outside of the sport, outside of the position, outside of the jersey, the guy who was the personal embodiment of Philadelphia and what we stood for: work ethic, commitment, dedication. You don't find those things from everyone. Some people, you get paid and that's it, and then they give up because they got it. This dude strove to be perfect and was imperfect the whole fucking way. And it would make me laugh when he's like, yeah, Jalen doesn't know where I'm going to snap the ball. And he's like, at the time, I don't know where I'm going to fucking snap the ball.
Yeah. I think the honesty that you got, the genuine answers that you got from him, it was all, you never felt like you were getting anything fake. Everything was absolutely authentic. I want to read the section of I try to pull the section of the speech where he was talking about the fans, because this clip should play for every new Philadelphia athlete. If you come to this city as a free agent, you come to this city as a draft pick, you hear this section of this speech, you have the blueprint. So like it says at times,
it should be on the wall in the locker room, to be honest.
Yeah,
it should be on the wall right outside the locker room.
And
you're
playing
absolutely right.
at the link.
Yeah.
Listen, you're not wrong. It says, you hate it as an athlete, especially when you're new to the city. But when you've been through it enough, you learn to appreciate it. No one loves their city. No one celebrates their own like the city of Philadelphia. Athletes become demigods, even the ones whose deeds span decades. The Eagles are the number one ticket in town. They're the most talked about thing every moment. But the amount of attention, you better get ready to overcome it with the lows and be ready to persevere in the face of criticism. Like, if you show effort, aggression, and desire, and the will to fight, the city will love you. If you show the love, they will love you back.
Yeah.
Right. And then it goes on. Right. And then he goes on to share the one,
the Zach Ertz story.
The Zach Ertz story.
Yeah.
And that embodies everything that we know about the guys that didn't make it in this city and the guys that did. And that, to me, there's such a human connection with him personally that you feel like, and it's weird to feel like you have that type of connection with that type of person that you've never met, but just feel you feel that genuine connection with him. And I feel blessed to be able to have a guy like that had the opportunity to play in a city like this, because I don't feel like he would have the career that he would have had if he's playing in Arizona, Jacksonville, Seattle, right?
He would have been lost in everything. But Don, real quick, for those of you who are joining us and watching us today, we're just touching on Jason Kelce. So if any of you guys got like a fun Jason Kelce thing that you want to throw down, memory quote, throw it in. Let's talk about it, because it's not often when we get to celebrate someone as great and the career of Jason Kelce. So throw us a comment, throw us something. We'll talk about it. It's just it's a rough week in Philadelphia when you got a guy like Jason Kelce who's leaving the team, and it's so fucking sad, because I'm gonna miss the guy, not the football guy. Right. I'm gonna miss the guy. And how many times can you actually say that about somebody? Like Allen Iverson, we could say, man, he retired. We miss him as a player. It's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, we do. I mean, I miss the stories about him being on City Line Avenue, dropping 50K with some strippers on a Fridays, because that's just part. That's just part. But it's like Jason Kelce, it's like everything that he did was Philadelphia. Everything he did was for guys like us and girls like us and kids like us who grew up. You're not good enough to do this. You're too fucking small. you got to be that. You got to be that underdog. You got to fight. You got to claw. And essentially, he did it his whole career. And that man is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And you look at his career, it's just
I'd be lying to you if I didn't, start looking at the drive from here to Canton, and start looking at hotels for the August of 2029.
Yeah.
Like it just like that. It feels like that's going to be another speech that no one's going to want to miss.
Yeah. It's just so authentic in everything he does. And he's unapologetically Jason. And that's it's pretty awesome when you have someone who's like that. So Jason, thank you for your career. Thank you for your service to the Eagles and everything you did for us and giving us hope.
Well, listen, while we have a little bit of an audience, our one of our sponsors, Philly Drinkers, has some really cool Jason Kelce merch. Him chestless chugging beers. We've got
that screams Delco all day. That screams Delco all day.
This is one that I have, right? They've got some cool T-shirts. They've got some really cool Jason Kelce merch that you can go on, check out. They've got these designs and stickers, mugs, sweatshirts, T-shirts. So go on there, check their stuff out. They got some really cool stuff. Support us. Use the code DrunkOnBroad15. You'll get your discount code there. But the link will be in our in the show description in the bio. So go check their stuff out. They got some really cool Philly-based stuff, and it's all Philly sports. So they've got some Flyers, some Phillies, some Sixers stuff, but some really cool Jason Kelce stuff. And to kind of go right into do either one of you have any Jason Kelce personal stories? Joe, did you ever pick him up, his wife, anybody?
I wish.
I had a dream he threw a block for me once.
I mean, that's the one.
3 yards.
Dude, I would have told you. I did take one group that lived, I guess, in his neighborhood, but I wasn't able to coordinate anything with her after that. Like, where is he? Or, hey, give him a card and see if he's looking for somebody to take him around. But unfortunately, I don't. But I mean, out of any athlete that we've ever encountered or talked about, I mean, that would have been the guy to get a pic with. Just a quick conversation. Just shake his hand and say thank you, thank you for everything you've done.
Listen, I think as long as you hang around Sea Isle long enough, I think you'll probably run into him. Just look for the enormous guy in flip flops.
He's a guy you want to open up your tailgate or your car or your truck and just sit there and just like have a beer and just like shoot the shit. Like that's the dude. My bucket list would be have a beer and a shot with Jason Kelce and just like tell me like your story or just like a life lesson. Like just
the wildest thing is though, Rich, you can absolutely see him doing it. It doesn't seem like he would be the type of guy that wouldn't just roll past and be like, I mean, you saw when he went to Buffalo for the Chiefs Bills game. He was just walking around, just tailgate to tailgate to tailgate, right? Yep. He follows through on the bet that he made and jumps through the table to introduce the show this week. He just seems like an everyman. And I think the way that he spoke about his family, the way that he spoke about his connection with his brother and how important that was, and the support that they gave one another, the connection that he has with his family, because it's a small, he describes it's a very small family. It's him, his parents, his brother, and a couple of aunts and uncles. Like it just the story seems very, very connectable. And it honestly makes me want to go back. I'm probably gonna at some point go back and watch the documentary again. I
gotta watch that. I need to see what's going on inside the Kelce house.
Oh, Rich, you won't be without tears. I promise you. It's a really, really cool show.
I cry over nothing, so I'm in.
He made how many grown men did made cry when he made that. We're watching that clip and then reminiscing about it and talking about it. You got John Ritchie like in mid sentence is bawling like an 8-year-old. So I mean, he could pull at everybody's heartstrings, and it didn't matter your age, male, female, it didn't matter. Like, he just had that effect on so many people, so far reaching.
Just because he gets it. And that's
Yep.
hard thing for anybody is you look at it and you listen to him speak and you're like, this guy fucking gets it, man. He knows that it's not just football. It's not just, there's so much. There's so much more to life than just playing football. It's just being a good person and being great on the outside and treating everybody equally and just, fighting for the little dude and just getting him a chance. Like, thank you, Jason. Like, it's awesome. It's been cool to watch him grow from his start at the Eagles now.
Listen, from a guy that thought that, or very early on in his career, that he was going to get cut, that didn't think he was good enough to make it. To be able to have, and then the belief, the importance of and the role of a coach, and how that one coach that sees something in you, that just battles for you, that bond and that connection, literally changed the entire trajectory of his life. And turns him from a guy who was a fringe, small, undersized, athletic lineman into, what you could argue is going to be one of the top 5 centers all time. And without doubt, was it JJ Watt? JJ Watt was, get the gold jacket fitted now, get it ready for 2029. You're talking about a guy, obviously Super Bowl 52 champ, played 193 games. He ended his career, was it, Joe, 156 consecutive starts or something like that?
Yep.
7-time Pro Bowl, 6-time All-Pro, like just beyond the field, a better dude than he was a player. And that speaks volumes for him.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So with that, we now know, obviously, that there's going to be some shuffling on that line.
Shuffle, baby. Shuffle.
Right. The early word, right, is that, the guy that they pegged. Now, listen, the 2 guys that are playing guards are both guys that they had drafted to obviously succeed him at center. We know Landon Dickerson is not going anywhere because he's playing at an all-pro level. And I think you don't want to disrupt that connection that he's got on that side of the line.
Juergens it is.
But now so Cam Juergens, who seems to be every bit of the guy that's ready to kind of slide over.
Yeah.
So the plan seems to me, right, you've also got guys in-house that could potentially move through, right? You've got guys that, you've got Sua Opeta, you've got, they draft Tyler Steen last year.
Yeah.
I got another guy in mind, and a guy that's not in the organization that
Travis
I think
Kelce. Just bring in another Kelce, brother. Fuck it. Do you want to play center? You don't need to be tight end. Get you all pro 2 positions, baby. Run out for a pass. He's eligible every time.
Yeah, listen, but
I think I know where you're going, Don.
You know where I'm going, Joe? Because I like this team to me seems poised to have a rebound. The amount of talent that they have on this team just right now, before free agency, before the draft, I don't think that you can fill that role with a guy that's young, with a guy that's not proven. I feel like you got to bring in a guy that is a plug and play, and you don't worry about anything. Joe, who's your guy?
John Runyon Jr.?
There it is, brother. I think you got to bring in, and how fitting would it be in the offseason if you bring in John Runyon's kid and Jeremiah Trotter's kid in the same offseason?
That would be fun.
Right? Just give them the same numbers. Give them 69 and 54. Fuck it. Right? And you just get I think you get a guy who is every bit
guard,
plug
right?
and play.
He
plays guard.
Yeah.
Right. So you slide Juergens over.
Juergens, throw him in. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was thinking, I'm like, wait, you got another center in mind? I'm like, because I got John Runyon Jr. to come in and play guard, and you just fucking slide Juergens over. I mean, and it helps Juergens too because he wasn't really doing too hot at at guard last year. So let's get him back to his natural position. And I wish fucking Jason Kelsey was on the team and just could just show him the way, man. What the fuck you fucking leave, bro?
I think he has. I mean,
I
we
think
all
he
know
has.
he scouted this guy years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
He scouted. He basically picked his replacement.
That speaks volumes. He's
Basically
like,
yeah, I think that'll be your guy. Yeah, we'll groom him. I'll talk to him. I'll show him the way.
We'll do this. Don't you worry about it. We'll do it.
Like you bring in John Runyon Jr., guy who's 6'4", 306, and sit him right next to you put him in between a guy that's experienced, right? You put him next to Mailata. You keep the other side with Lane Johnson,
Dickerson.
And, Landon Dickerson. You've now got a formidable line that is still
tough,
enormous, but wildly athletic too.
Right.
Yeah.
So on the offensive weapon side, there's been a lot of conversation. Rich, I know you had your eyeballs on a guy. That guy got the 2-year giant money bag extension from the Bucks.
Mike Evans, son of a bitch. We weren't going to get him anyway, but that's crazy. My whole thing is, it's so funny watching these teams. It's like, if you were going to give him that extension, why didn't you just give him the fucking extension and not even worry about the free agency bullshit? That's huge money he got. Come on, bro. Stop playing with the man. Mike Evans is the most consistent, not talked about enough wide receiver in the league. It's amazing why people don't think he's elite. We'll still throw, Devontae Adams being on the Raiders, he's top 5. It's like, okay, but Mike Evans should be in front of him. Oh man, Garrett Wilson when Aaron Rodgers is going to be unstoppable. Mike Williams should be ahead of him. Deebo Samuel, oh my God, he's so electric. Mike Evans should be ahead of him. It's like we don't give enough credit to Mr. Consistency himself. 8 years of 1,000+ yards, and we're just going to say Mike Evans shouldn't be in the conversation of a good wide receiver, and Tampa Bay fucking falls for it. And then they go, oh no, we're going to bring him back. Yeah, because he's that fucking good.
Right.
It's so dumb.
Wild as
most of that shit is twisted by the media, though, and that's why I like when AJ Brown fucking shit on WIP, because most of these stories are being driven by the media. He doesn't have click, 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 click. Oh, he doesn't have the same skill set. Click, 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 click. It's like, my man doesn't have to be able to catch a fucking swing pass and run 70 yards, because he can run straight and out jump your guy and make a 70 yards.
You know what, too? It certainly helps to have an innovative and creative offensive coordinator.
Always helps.
Well, absolutely. And Joe, speaking of being creative, right? The news comes out that you've got the opportunity to, bring in a serious offensive weapon. The guy apparently that they had their eye on last offseason before he got tagged was Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
And the thought of putting Saquon Barkley behind this line to play alongside AJ Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert, I got to be honest, has me salivating to see what that offense could look like. Because
not I, said the cat. Not I.
When you combine this level of talent with the level of talent that they have on the line, combined with now what we know is going to be an experienced play calling offensive coordinator, and a guy who's going to be creative with how they get the weapons the ball. As much as people want to, love what DeAndre Swift brought, Saquon Barkley is a enormous upgrade to what DeAndre Swift brought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not falling in love with the Saquon. I don't. As much as I like Saquon, there's a lot of things that I want to take into consideration. Mind you, it's going to be a long-term deal. I don't want our running back at, I think he's 29, to be signed to a long-term deal. if I'm going to give some cash out, I have no problem saying, hey, Derrick Henry, I'll give you 1 year, $10 million. Come run behind this line and just fucking abuse him and see what happens. It's a lot of money for the position, and the big contracts that we saw, Christian McCaffrey is just 1A over everyone because that dude is a fucking freak, machine, monster. Yeah. He got a huge deal, and he's the anomaly to that. He is the outlier, and I don't think giving Saquon 3 years, $36 million, 28 guaranteed is the right move to do if you're averaging $12 million a year. Give me Derrick Henry, draft the running back. Because Gainwell, as much as I like Gainwell's not it. I mean,
Right.
he'd probably be number one for me to be like, all right, expendable. Boston Scott, you keep because he does the special team stuff. But man, give me Derrick Henry running behind this line for a season and see how much it opens up, especially when it gets cold out. Because when you come to the link and it's cold, you ain't tackling the Yeti, baby.
Listen, I would talk about Derrick Henry in the same vein that I would talk about Saquon Barkley. Like, to me, like the thought of either one of those, and you know that they're going to have to add people at that position, right? Because
exactly,
you don't have many. I think Gainwell might be the only guy that's
gone. Yeah, Boston Scott will be gone.
Right. They have Kenny Gainwell. That's it. That's the only guy that's rostered for next year. So you know that they're going to bring in. Yeah. They're going to have to bring in guys. So the thought of bringing in Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, those are the two guys that people have had a lot of conversations about. You've also and you're talking about those guys are a little bit older, right? Barkley's going to be 28. Derrick Henry's 30 already. Is there another guy, Rich, you got in mind? DeAndre Swift did have a successful season here. He is 25, so he's 5 years. So 5 years younger.
A guy with a similar skill set, not with, I would say, breakaway speed, but someone who is going to be cut at the beginning of the season. A guy who I'd kick tires on would be Joe Mixon if Joe Mixon's out there. I think you'd be able to get him for cheap. Again, he's a pass catching running back. His average has dropped extremely. His efficiency has dropped extremely. I think he was like 2.4 yards a carry last year. Not indicative of his skill set or what he can do, because Cincinnati's offensive line is fucking terrible. Yes, they have the dude Chase Brown to come in. Chase Brown is a small, fast guy. They don't live long in the NFL. Joe Mixon has the intangibles. He's got the health. He's a guy I've always liked as a running back. He's younger, and I wouldn't mind. Hey, you want to sign Joe Mixon to a 1 year deal? Hey, prove it deal, and then next year you go get paid. You've seen it. Anybody can run behind this offensive line and get 1,000 yards. We made Miles Sanders look like fucking Barry Sanders. I don't know who Barry Davis is. I don't know Barry Davis. Mixed between Terrell Davis and Barry Sanders. Yeah, that's my man, Barry Davis. You know, he sells used cars down on Cottman Boulevard. But Joe Mixon's a guy I'd fucking go after. He's a dude I'd be like, yo, let's kick the tires on him. He's out there. He's a vet, good in pass protection. He checks every box for me, and he's not going to be one of those guys who's going to demand a lot. So, and then you still draft somebody else. Barry Davis. I know it. American baseball coach. I knew there was a Barry Davis around.
Barry Davis, head baseball coach at Rider University.
Shout out to Rider University. Shout out.
But listen, I think you're going to have some options there, right? And J.K. Dobbins is a guy that tore his Achilles last year in week 1, who's going to be coming off an injury. Right, which I don't have a ton of interest in. Right, you've got an older Devin Singletary. Yeah,
especially from his OSU days. No, thank you.
But if you tell me you've got the option to potentially, maybe talk about Austin Eckler, does a 29-year-old Austin Eckler do anything for you?
No, he's on the downswing. I think. Again, efficiency has been his problem, and let's be real. He was amazing for fantasy because he scored touchdowns. And then you saw when he didn't score touchdowns, those 30 carries for 61 yards and 2 catches for -8 yards.
Right.
It ain't what it is. And I mean, I'm not speaking just solely off a fantasy aspect. It's just you talk about some of these running backs in a different light, and you're looking at it. Oh shit, they're not scoring touchdowns. And then you start actually looking at the stats, and you're like, yeah, they're not as efficient as I thought they were. Josh Jacobs is a guy who I would honestly love to have. Again, him, Saquon, they're going to demand a fuck ton of money.
Right.
And I think one of them guys, if they don't get signed, are going to be, in the situation of we're asking for too much money, and then they're going to panic in the beginning of the season and jump on a 1-year deal because they want to play. And
yeah, I think the other guy that's on the list here is Tony Pollard, which I don't have any interest in. Right? He's a 27. Right.
No
right.
one's. But I can't fucking carry the ball more than 15 times a game.
Out of those,
even though we don't run the ball more than 15 times a game.
Out of the 3 guys at the top of the list, though, right, between Barkley, Henry, and Jacobs, do you think any of them run into the same kind of situation that you're seeing kind of play out in MLB with Jordan Montgomery and Blake Snell, where they're guys that are like, we're deep into spring training now. Neither one of those guys have signed. They seem like they're both holding out for big long-term deals. At some point, you got to get a contract and get in. And is there one of those 3 guys that you think ends up in a situation like that where they're kind of left out in the cold because they want the long-term deal and then have to settle for the short term, settle for the 1 year?
Joe, deal? You go first, buddy.
I mean, I think it's Saquon. I personally think it's Saquon. I mean, the whole thing and the whole story with the Giants and them going back and forth, and I don't want to be franchise tagged, and I want to be one of the top paid backs in the league. I mean, it doesn't happen anymore. I mean, running backs shelf life is so short, and that position and the contract of that position have really gone lower and lower and lower. Really since probably Zeke Elliott. I mean, what they gave him that long deal. I think he was making 15 plus, and his production dropped. He was getting injured.
Jerry Jones a fucking idiot.
Yeah, well, that too, but well, that's always going to be the case, Rich.
That's always the case in Dallas.
He's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, I'm gonna drink my whiskey and have some kids that I don't care about.
There's the thing about the running back position is what are you looking for your team situation? Look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs have Isaiah Pacheco. They bring in guys that's gonna be what they're looking for. The Eagles need to bring in a guy that's going to be what they're looking for and what they need to do. They need a guy that can run. They need a guy that can catch, and they need a guy that can pass block. That's exactly why you won't see DeAndre Swift come back with the Eagles. They had to take him off the field for long stretches of the games because he couldn't pass block. That's why we're watching the screen. It's like, all right, well, where's DeAndre Swift? We're seeing a full quarter of Gainwell. We're seeing spotty carries by Boston Scott. Where's DeAndre Swift? DeAndre Swift is a subpar pass protection running back that became a liability, unfortunately.
And I piggyback off that. If there's a guy who's not going to, I think they're all going to get signed because realistically, with football, it's going to be the guaranteed money. I don't think it has to honestly have to be the length. But if these guys get the 2 years, $24 million, $18 million guaranteed, I see them signing. If they're looking for 3-4 plus years, I think every GM is going to be like, dude, you're nuts. Like, you're not getting that. It's not going to happen. Baseball, it's so different because Blake Snell is, coming off the Cy Young year, but like, let's be real, dude. It's shelling out big money for pitchers. It hasn't really worked in baseball as of late. Jordan Montgomery, I don't think you've done enough to earn a fucking 200. Yeah, it's like, dude, like, come on, man.
Scott Boras is pushing all this shit.
Yeah, and it's Boras. Like, Boras's clients, like, oh, he needs – because he wants his money. You know, he wants these guys to get 250 plus 300 million and not settling. And if I'm a baseball player, I'm like, dude, we're 8 to 12 days away from beginning. Like,
yeah.
we need to. I want to get signed. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be ready to pitch till June, July, and then your stock just goes down. And then what happens if you get hurt? Like, baseball is incredible with the stupid money that they throw around, and it's honestly fucking annoying because I hate it for the sport. Love it for the athlete, hate it for the sport. Because the money is so high. The good thing about the NFL is you can give these guys a little bit more and set the new precedent because the cap is going to rise exponentially in the next 5 years.
Right.
Everybody says, oh, Jalen Hurts' contract's really going to hurt the fucking Eagles. No, it's not, jerk off. The cap's going up. Like, what's going to hurt is when Dak signs for fucking $52 million a year in his extension because he stinks. That's going to hurt. Jalen Hurts' contract in 2 years is going to look phenomenal compared to every free agent quarterback.
How he's going to get a wizard when it comes to that. Absolutely.
That deal is going to look wildly team friendly in a couple years.
And that's what people don't realize. The cap is going up exponentially. The profit sharing is going to drive this cap up. But at the same time, it's still, you're a running back. It's still the fact that you're a running back. You're the most replaced player or position in football. You can't expect to be getting all this. And you can't expect to be getting a giant contract. You take too many hits. You are limited in a certain skill position. You are 29 years old. I want these guys to get the bag. Do I think running back is fucking important? Hell yes, I do. But the days of the true workhorse running back are gone because they see what it does to the legs. They see what it does to getting hits. You have specialists. If you're looking for a 3-down back with a skill set of you can block, you don't have to take him off the field, and he can catch.
It's really hard.
It's hard to find. But my cheap option would be Joe Mixon. My expensive option of Saquon with ankle problems, I'm not doing that. That's just me. But again, it's not my fucking money.
Yeah.
Spend it where you want to fucking spend it. I'll support it.
If Howie can
I fucking love Saquon Barkley.
If he can cut a deal and have it, not really affect the cap as much as we think it might, then I'm on board with it. But the problem is this team has so many needs, especially in defense. Corner, safety.
That's a good shift.
The money that's available has to be put into the defense. It has to be put into the defense.
Money
and I'm
and
on board
draft.
with Rich. You've made a lot of good points about the whole Joe Mixon move. Bringing in a guy like Joe Mixon, I'm totally on board with that. And then you have all these draft picks. Just use a draft pick on a specific guy. Do you want a younger college version of Joe Mixon, or do you want another different style change of pace back?
It's
but
deep.
I'm
The draft
totally
is
good
deep.
with. Because the Eagles, they're not going to put the money and the years into that position. That money has to be put into the defense. If they don't even sniff any of these linebackers, safeties, or corners, and bring in just plug and play guys and hope to God they hit in the draft, we're going to be in the same position that we were next year.
The best and worst thing, honestly, that has happened with college football was the COVID year, because half these guys who were coming out were guys who sat either their freshman, sophomore year, took that year off of COVID, and now they're coming out. Yeah, they might be a little bit older, but it makes the draft so much deeper because there's a lot of guys who would have been first or second round guys who get pushed to the end of the second, beginning of the third, fall a little deeper. And it's like, oh, yeah, age related. But hey, this guy sat out a year for COVID. Like, this guy still has good legs. This guy was a projected pick when he would have came out last year at this or the following year at this. So I'm not necessarily worried about drafting a running back. Joe, your transition was perfect. You see all the reports, and I know Don sees them because we talk about it all the time with Hassan Reddick, and now Josh Sweat is being shopped. My worry is you brought in Vic Fangio, who doesn't run the same defense as we had before. So those days of the Reddick and Sweat, to me, what I'm worried about is what do we do on the defensive end side and the linebacker side? Because we have zero linebackers besides Nakobe Dean. So now we need guys who can cover. Now we need guys who are speedy, who can run the 3-4. If Fangio is flipping to the 3-4, what the fuck do we do on that side of the ball? Like, we need to spend our money and draft picks solely on defense. You sign a wide receiver 3 because I think that's a huge need. You need a guy to be able to step in. I don't give a fuck if it's Tyler Boyd,
Right.
or fucking Gabe Davis, or somebody.
I'm not doing
You pull that hole and you go to defense.
No draft.
I'm
I need a guy. I need a guy.
No draft pick is going off.
No. Oh, we hope he can take over the third receiver role. Like,
I don't want that.
Our track record at drafting receivers is dog shit.
Devontae Smith was a kid.
Yeah. Thank you, Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Dallas. We jumped
Dallas.
Dallas. We traded picks because the Giants were going to take it. I guarantee you it was a stone cold lock situation that the Giants were going to take Devontae Smith.
We have so many holes.
100%.
We need the draft to safety or sign a safety and get some rushers.
So let's talk. So before we talk a little bit of draft, let's talk to the two positions of most need. Right, you're talking about linebacker and safety because there's a lot of big names in those groups. Rich, Frankie Louvu that you've mentioned before.
Louvu, baby,
about a guy
give me him.
Like Patrick Queen, who's 2 years younger than him. You're talking about Levante David is another guy. Devin White, Bobby Wagner, Van Kinkel's a guy who's in that category too. I think you're going to see, I think you're going to see some combination of.
You need to get one or two. You have to.
Yeah.
You have to get one or two.
Yeah.
Or Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker got cut from Miami, and
Absolutely.
who loves fucking Jerome Baker?
I
love Jerome
and Jeremiah
Baker.
Trotter Jr.
And that's
Trotter
true.
Jr.
Trotter Jr. next to Jerome Baker with Devin White on the outside. You're good. Then you just draft another one.
They're going to sign 2 linebackers, Rich.
You need to.
Joe, they're in
You're
the
running
same
the
spot.
3-4, you got to do it. I know.
They're in the same spot they're in. Yeah.
I wish.
They're in the same spot they're in running back. They don't have guys on the roster. So they're going to have to fill those roster spots. But 2, you have to put the talent in place to be able to stop people. And I think the idea that you're going to have Vic Fangio, who's another guy who's an experienced play caller, who's been in those big spots, who's been a head coach before. I think if you give him the talent, you're going to see the production on the field. I really do. But in terms of corner, right? Or not corner, safety, right? There's a lot of conversation with CJ, GJ, Xavier McKinney's another guy. Justin Simmons is another guy who's got the Vic Fangio connection from his time in Denver. Jeremy Chin. There are Micah Hyde is another guy. There are guys that have gotten cut, that have gotten released in the last couple of weeks. That list of safety. If you want guys at that position, you're going to have guys that are talented that you're going to be able to have access to. Yeah,
it's going to come down to what are they looking for, and what are the Eagles willing to pay? That was a huge mistake by Howie last year, not retaining one or both of those, Edwards and CJ GJ, because
CJ GJ's, we already know his agent dropped the fucking bag.
Absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, after that whole thing went away, we were left with, the cupboard was bare. You're hoping for Sidney Brown can jump in and start right away. It was really just, they were throwing things at a wall and hoping that it would stick. And TJ Edwards going to the Bears. He had a monster year with the Bears, but the Eagles apparently, I don't even know if they ever offered him a contract or made him an offer.
I don't think they did. I think they were banking fucking OBD.
You have to have at least one reliable to very good linebacker. He doesn't have to be an all-pro, Hall of Fame stuff. You need security at the position who can play and just make plays. They haven't had a linebacker that consistently make plays other than TJ Edwards since Nigel Bradham in the Super Bowl year.
Yeah, and D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
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 How long ago was that?
A long
Yeah.
time.
Listen,
You know, like
yeah.
that shit catches caught up to us last year. You can't turn your eye away to those specific positions on the field because it came back to bite you in the ass.
Yep.
Yeah, Jordan Poyer's another guy who got released. Who I'm sure that they're gonna kick the tires on. Those are guys at positions of need. So thankfully, there are at the positions that they do
There's a
need
lot
to
of
upgrade, or
options.
there's a lot of depth there. So I feel like
Buda Baker's out there too.
Right, you're not going to be in a position where you're going to have to overpay. You're going
And
to
they're
have
all
opportunities,
They're
and they're
all
all
upgrades.
upgrades over what you had.
I think there's every single free agent safety is an upgrade, and linebacker is an upgrade. The problem is you had no experience you had no veteran leadership. Zach Cunningham, yeah, veteran leader. No. Safety, veteran leadership. Byard, who came here and I looked at his numbers a little better. He was on the downswing at Tennessee. And then he came here and then decided, fuck it. Like, defense is dumb. I'm going to play fucking individual football.
Yeah, right.
And then and then you don't have leaders in your secondary as much as people want to say, oh, Darius Slay and Bradbury. Vets, leaders, no. Like, big play Slay is kind of an anomaly.
I played
shouldn't even be his fucking name anymore. It should just be.
I played good. It wasn't
Slay.
me. I played good.
Right. Darius.
Exactly. Yeah, Darius. Just change your name back to Darius. Big play Slay has been gone since Detroit. And even in Detroit, there was no big plays because nobody threw to his side. So, we're paying these guys a lot of money to be mediocre to average at best. And you see guys who are just outplaying them, like Ladarius Sneed and, some of these young corners who are drafted not super high. And then you got big name guys in Bradbury and Slay and Byard, and they're just not doing anything. And it sucks that we can't get rid of Bradbury or Slay because we have a lot of youth at that position. I think it'll be good, but at the same time, the fucking cap hits are going to be outrageous. So you can't do it. You're able to save $13 million by getting rid of Byard, which is phenomenal. Go out there, use that money that you're going to pay $13 million a year for. Go get CJGJ. Go get Buda Baker. Go get an upgrade at the position. Or get both. Or get some linebackers. It's going to be a very tricky situation because you just don't know where they're going to allocate those funds. But the years of misuse and the neglect to the linebacker position when the game is just evolving, running backs are getting faster. They're getting bigger. Wide receivers are getting faster. They're getting bigger. You need some presence in the middle. And when you don't have the presence in the middle to stop the run or to even tackle, you're going to sit there and be like, all right, we're going to attack the linebackers. This is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
It don't matter how good your pass rush is. When your corners are fucking burnt and your linebackers can't cover, someone's going to be fucking open.
Yeah, and I think there's also starting to be a trend in the NFL with teams going back to the run a little bit. I think you're seeing with the way that the swing in the way that people were building defenses to be lighter and faster. You see the offensive swing, the opposite happen on the offense. You see teams that are really putting an emphasis on building a strong interior presence on the line, going back to the run game a little bit to take it. It's that ebb and flow of how teams are building. So I like the idea of being able to add those. And I think you have to have a good combination of free agency draft pick because I think this year really showed them that they really just can't punt on a position. Like you have to, because in all honesty, they really thought that they were just going to be able to get by at linebacker. They were going to be able to bring in whoever, plug them in, and it was going to work out. And it went wildly sideways.
Terrible.
Horrible.
They were taking on water early, and and it bit them all year long because they never had the presence in the middle, and then they never had the leadership. I really think they put all their eggs into Kobe Dean's basket, and it didn't pan out at all because he couldn't stay on the field. And then you were just you were pulling whoever you could.
Yeah, and
you got Shaq Leonard off the scrap heap, and that dude fucking soft.
And then you have everything that was going on with the coaching staff. I mean, the reports with Sean Desai were, he wasn't approachable. he didn't run plays that were to the strengths of the players that they did have, and he was stubborn, and he really rubbed people the wrong way. So over time you're going to lose that whatever connection you're trying to build with your leaders and your players and whatnot. So we have that whole thing, and then the switch to Patricia, which once that happened, you knew that it was like these guys were like, I'm out.
Once they switched to Matt Patricia, I gave up.
That was over.
I gave up. I'm like, Matt Patricia's on the defense. Well, that fucking's terrible.
You have Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick dropping back in the coverage. You're trying to implement a game plan and show these guys how you want to do things. It's like you're learning like ad lib and like in game.
When they someone says like it's so stupid that it just might work, like that's what the Eagles were doing. They're like, let's do some stupid shit. It might fucking work. Let's get our two best pass rushers, throw them back into coverage, baby. We'll get some interceptions, and we'll look like we're geniuses. And Matt Patricia's sitting there like, I fucked up again. It's like, yeah, you did. Go back to Phil.
Yeah, but listen, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is a guy. I think round one is kind of way too early to be able to.
Well, we have 2 twos, don't we?
But that's what I was going to say. You can use one of those twos to make that investment, which I think is right about where he lands, early second, middle, somewhere in that second round.
Right.
The combine is what it is. Is there a guy that you heard about that you saw on social media that you got your eye on?
Well, I mean, for the linebacker position, I guess I think his name is it Cooper? I think his last name is Cooper, the linebacker from A&M.
Yes, yeah.
If you're, it's really for me, it's one of those two guys. I mean, and they both will be available at the early second round pick that we have and the later one. One or the other is going to be available. It's just a matter of the Eagles pulling the trigger on, drafting somebody at a position that they frankly haven't really given a shit about that high. So I hope that they let Vic Fangio have a lot of say in, the player personnel that they draft and they bring in with free agency, because I mean, for him to get guys to buy in and for it to work, they're going to have to let him have control of that. Of those decisions.
Rich, you got a guy? You got a guy that popped up?
I don't watch the combine because I think it's absolutely fucking stupid.
Don. Sorry, Rich.
Yeah, go ahead.
What do we? Okay, let's pivot for a second. What is the Eagles' plan, or what are we going to do if and when Hassan Reddick get traded?
I mean, at that point, that's
huge.
Yeah, I think. To me, I don't want to move on from him because I feel like whatever you're going to bring in is not going to be wildly equivalent to what you're giving up. You can give him up for what are they saying, like a second and a third, or
but
3 and a 5.
Right, then you got to find somebody.
Then like what you don't have any. If you had someone younger on their roster to be able to slide in,
that's
do you look at like if you use that second round draft pick that you get from that trade and you draft a guy like Chop Robinson from Penn State, like that's it. But you're right. But you're going to get right. You get the swing in salary, right? Because you're bringing a guy in that's going to be on a rookie deal as opposed to the big extension that he's looking for. That maybe that's how that swings. Maybe this is a way that you do that. I don't know though. Because it's also an unproven. Yeah. I know what I'm getting in Hassan Reddick.
Yep.
I could be getting a younger version of that. I don't know though.
I was only going to make that move if Burns was available, and since Burns got franchise tag, I'm not trading Hassan Reddick. And again, cap goes up. It's going to be. In 5 years, we're not even going to have to fucking worry about anything, and Hassan Reddick won't be on the team anyway when it comes to it.
Rich, I got a guy that fits your need at slot.
Fastest time ever.
Xavier Worthy, who's a wide
Yeah,
receiver who
John
they
Ross
had
had
in.
the fastest time ever too, didn't he? More's John Ross.
Yeah, who? Right.
Listen,
right.
This is
Rich,
why I
it's
don't watch the combine. This is exactly
No.
why.
I know,
No.
but Rich, so here's where I come from, right? I saw this guy a little bit on college, like on college Saturdays, but to see the speed, right?
Yeah.
Runs the 40 and 4.2, right?
He's
But
going to be a first round draft pick now.
what the conversation, right? The
Somebody
Eagles
might
they
read.
put him in for that top 30, one of the top 30 visits.
Mhm.
But to go back and watch the tape, he's a really good route runner, right? He's got, it's not just this like jump off the page elite speed. So on some sense, right? Because they're gonna have to be able, they're gonna have to hit on a bunch of draft picks to be able to come in. So like that to me, you can also put him in the slot next to AJ Brown, and Rich, at the very least, you pull Quez Watkins off the field so that you don't have
He
to
can
see
go. He
Right.
Plus,
can
Watkins should never be on the field anyway.
He can
So
go.
this is what I'm saying though.
Zacchaeus
Like-
can go. Julio Jones
Well, yeah.
can go.
Oh yeah.
They,
Well, they're all
three of those guys are expendable. I'm sorry. Those three
Well-
guys are expendable.
That's
So
not
you
even.
don't have
If
to
anybody
apologize.
says they're not expendable, then I have an issue with that.
100%. 100%. But yeah, but I'll be curious to see where that kind of falls out. There's some other conversations with guys like Brock Bowers and Lad
Dude,
McConkey.
I would love
and
that guy. He's
Right?
like a queen, right? Like a wide receiver, tight end.
He's the guy who played
Georgia.
kind of slot tight end for
Georgia.
for Georgia. Caught it, kind of shined at the Senior Bowl. But he's a guy that like this is about that time when you drafted. I know we talked about this last time, but like this is about that time that you drafted Goddard when Ertz was around. So, it
gotta
wouldn't
think about
surprise
that.
me if they invest in that position too.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they can't get him, whatever, because I feel like he's definitely going to be the first tight end off the board. I feel like he's going to be a high draft pick. A guy I'm targeting in free agency is Jonnu Smith, veteran, can get it done.
Okay.
He just signed somewhere.
Did he?
I think
How?
he went to, was it Miami?
Jonnu Smith?
He got 2 years, $10 million. I believe he went to Miami.
Are we in the
If I-
tampering
I was
period
gonna
where
say the
guys?
same thing. That would have been the ideal signing.
When I saw
But
Atlanta
he's off
cut
the-
him, I'm like, that's the guy I
He's
want.
off the board. Yeah, he's
No
already off
way.
the board.
Yeah, Miami.
When does the
No.
tampering period begin? Now?
I don't know. Well, look at Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is going to Washington.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
you're
how
right.
this.
I don't know how the fucking thing
all
works.
works.
Somebody explain it.
I don't understand it.
Oh.
I just don't. I don't get it.
Yeah, that would have been the guy I
It is
targeted.
kind of
But I mean, if you can't get Bowers, you need a backup tight end, and I know there's a bunch out there.
Well,
in
they
free.
just have to.
I don't
the
need an
problem
elite
is
guy. I just need a serviceable guy who can catch balls.
They re-signed Albert O. Albert O. I don't even know if he even had a reception. How do you put money or sign a guy when the guy hasn't done shit?
Because they probably
How
gave
many-
him $1 million, and that's it.
For at least half the season, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on the injured reserve.
And he didn't do it. And even when he was active, he did absolutely nothing.
No, it's not a
All
guy
right.
I want back.
This is one guy that I thought about that I was trying to find, but on the defensive side for the free agency, right? The guy that just Christian Wilkins, the guy that just got released from Miami. That would be another guy. And that was a guy we were talking. We skipped over the D line. But
I would trade.
He's a guy.
I would sign him, and I would look to move on from Jordan Davis. I'm not going to lie. I would trade Jordan Davis while he's young.
How old is
and
how
before
old
he
is
gets
Wilkins? How old
28.
is Wilkins?
28.
28.
Yeah,
And I know
mean,
I know that's not a popular opinion to trade Jordan
no,
Davis.
but I would do it.
I would totally kick
Right.
tires and see if I can get something for him.
I mean, I mean, if somebody throws you a 2 or a 3, I mean, and you bring in a guy like Wilkins, who you already know is going to be productive, and then he's familiar with the coordinator. So, that's a decision that you might have to make too. But I guess also too, it depends on what they do with Fletcher Cox.
Yeah. Well, you know Jordan Davis isn't getting a second contract unless Jordan Davis comes out and has a monster year, but you can't.
He's going to have to flip a switch.
He's going to have to lose a shit ton of weight, be able to keep it off, prove that he can manage.
Fangio's never a guy who's gonna be like, dude, this is it. This
Well, if he's running a 3-4, the time is now, because you're either going to be, if you're talking about picking 3 guys to be on the field rather than 4, you're not putting him on the end because he's not fast enough.
right.
So
Definitely
he's either going to be
your
on the
nose.
nose.
He's going to be your nose. But he also doesn't have the intangibles. Like you look at like Starvia down in whatchamacallit, Tampa Bay. Like that's a nose tackle, a guy who can actually get to the quarterback,
right,
lock shed, get sacks. Like Jordan Davis isn't that productive.
The problem is this,
and he's too big.
Yeah, there's so many questions and not enough answers right now to know who's staying, who's going, and what defensive scheme that they're gonna run, who they're gonna bring in, who they're gonna be, how he's gonna allow them to bring in. So
we're all in consensus that defense is our main priority, correct?
Absolutely,
100%.
Yeah, absolutely,
good,
absolutely.
All right, fine. Jury's out on it. I'm with it.
There we go. Anybody? Anything else you want to talk about before we roll into final thoughts?
Oh man, buckle up, guys. We got 5 days left, 4 days left.
Yeah. What is it? Wednesday's legal tampering?
Wednesday, 13th. It starts, right?
Yeah, but I think you're going to start hearing shit start to trickle out. Maybe by the end of the weekend, and definitely by Monday.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. Football's back.
Yeah, it's so fun. No matter what they do, just the build up and the you're checking ESPN, checking Twitter, checking all your sports apps, listening to some of those clowns on the radio, but you're just trying to get information.
We will give it time before we overreact, people. We'll give it a week before we overreact. 1 week.
There it is.
So it's fun. It's certainly a fun time, when you're a big sports fan, big sports fans like we are.
Yeah. Final thoughts, fellas.
Oh man, I went to Boathouse Row lighting ceremony. I was on the news. Check me out, Channel 3. Want to go back and look at it? I was on the news.
I saw the snapshot.
Yeah, I was on the news. It was cool. And but about that, it's I was able to say, like, in the interview, like, my dad used to take me here all the time. So it was a cool moment to be able to share with Ollie and Jamie being there, but being there with my boy and like watching the lights and seeing how much they meant to me as a kid, like just driving by and just like looking at them and like just being like amazed. And it's like to see the same look on his face watching the lights. It's like that shit means everything to you. And, being a father is probably the best thing I've ever done. It's my greatest accomplishment. And I love my son so much. And to be able to share things like that with him it'll never, ever leave my mind. And then one day he'll be like at the tree lighting or some lighting with his son and be like, hey, and if he gets interviewed, my dad used to take me here. And it's the shit that, I wouldn't say it's hard being a dad, but it is, just as hard being any parent. And, we try to be the ones who are always happy and show nothing. And, it gets hard to a point, but being a present father isn't hard to do. Right. Making these memories with your child isn't hard to do. Again, it's not for most people, but like I went to Ollie's school, I read to him, and these are the memories that he is going to have. And they're the memories that I'm always going to be able to cherish, especially when he's 12 and 13 and he's testing my fucking patience and wants to be a fucking nut job. And it's like, I remember when you were a child and we did this together, we did this together, we did this together. And that's what's going to bring me back to reality. So it's my final thoughts is make the memories while you can, because there's not enough time to do it. Whatever you have planned, let life go astray, let life go awry, and make those memories while you can and enjoy who's around you, who you have, and the love that you can bring to your family, to your kids, to your neighbor. Express it, because it's not going to be there forever. So
absolutely, Rich. Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I got out of the food industry, being in,
Fucking A.
assistant chef, kitchen manager, sous chef, executive cater. I've been there, done that. I did the bottom of the bottom and the top of the top. But the thing that you don't get back is time.
Yep.
I did it for 25 years, day shift, mid shift, night shift, weekends, holiday, you name it. I did it. And I missed so much sporting events with the kids, doing things with my wife, helping my wife out, little things that, you don't get that time back.
No.
You just don't get that time back. So, that's why I made that tradition. I mean, I'm 45 now. I made that transition at 42, but, and it's working out great now. I mean, half the day I have roll around with one eye open, but it's the time. I have the time. I'm available.
Yeah.
It's, being available. But where I was going with it real quick, Don, my public service announcement is more of in the line of where I am with work. I drive for a living. I drive for a limo company, and I drive for DOT during the day, box truck. But it's just like the things that I see with drivers and just common courtesy and using a turn signal, and it's really not that deep. I see road rage every single day. People cutting people off, and nowadays it's like you can't say anything or give people the finger. They'll shoot you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw a guy on the Blue Route yesterday. He was literally following. I don't know what the driver did. He was following him, weaving in and out of traffic. Whatever move he made, that car followed. Like, is it really that deep? Like, what was going to happen? You don't know now.
Yeah, and you don't want to come to a stop.
People go from 0 to 100 way faster than they used to. People are ruthless. They don't think about the outcome of things. They're just everybody's so on edge, and everybody's so just eager to win the situation, when it really, people just need to step back, take a breath, and realize that it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah, listen.
Yep. Slow the fuck down.
Slow down and chill the fuck out, because it just ain't worth it.
Yeah. And listen, what I was going to say is literally a combination of what you guys have said. The idea of time and kind of maximizing that time and appreciating the time that you have, and those conversations with your kids that you have are wildly important. And those are the things that the experiences are the things that you remember. And, not taking for granted the car rides, when you're going to drop them off somewhere, or, the time that you get to be with them and go out and run errands, even if it's something like stupid, like going out to the supermarket.
Yep.
Appreciating those times that you have with them, and sharing the conversations. And, now, like, Jane's getting older. She's 16, trying to have those tough conversations. She's in a play, and the role isn't as big as the one that she had in the fall. And, she's upset because she feels like she may have maybe mailed it in a little earlier and didn't put a ton of effort into the audition, and is now having a little bit of regret, and then going and trying to help her navigate those conversations, and trying to talk to her about, like, and me trying to relate my experiences with sports, and realizing that, like, hey, on some teams I played and I was the best player on the team, and on other teams I didn't play at all. And but talking about, like, every person has a role. Every person contributes to the total product, and everybody's role is important. Doesn't matter how small. She's on stage. She's got a couple lines. There's a couple of people in the show that don't have any lines at all. There's a couple of people that aren't on the stage at all. And trying to, like,
find the silver line.
You're right. You try to help them try to navigate that, but, like, the idea of slowing down and trying to appreciate those moments, man, it's wildly important for especially for us as dads too.
Yeah.
For us as dads, the sharing that feeling, that communication, that emotion. is something that, it's something that it's really important to pass on to them so that they have that for their kids.
Well fucking said, boys. Well said, boys.
Well, gentlemen, it's Saturday.
It is Saturday.
So
gloomy, rainy, crappy Saturday, but it's Saturday.
Listen, but it's Saturday. We got the rest of the day to kind of go out and enjoy the rest of the weekend.
No work.
Nice.
I did a 16-hour day yesterday, so I could have off today.
Hell yes. Hell yes. Joe works too much. Give him a raise. Hell yes.
If you want to, you got Phillies spring training on at 1. You got the Flyers on at 7 and the Union are on at 7:30. So there's Philly sports out there if you want it, brothers.
Are the Sixers going to even be available for a play-in, or are they just going to be completely out of it?
Joe, that's the Sixers being the Sixers at this point, man.
Trust the process. Trust the process.
What process? Man. Yeah,
I don't fucking know. It sounds good. Well, you stuck around, you fucked around, you found out. I'm Rich, Don, and Joe. We are Drunk on Broad. Thanks for joining us. But as always, fuck Deshaun Watson. Fuck Davion Taylor. Fuck Ben Simmons. Fuck James Harden. Fuck Spike Eskin. Who else?
Dan Silica.
Always fuck the Cowboys. Dan Silica? Yeah, all right, sure.
Dan Cilia.
Yeah, fuck him too. Yeah. And if you're watching the show and you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, we unfortunately feel terrible for your soul. And there's a special place in hell for you. So as always, go Birds. I'm Rich. We got Don and Joe. We're Drunk on Broad. Thanks for tuning in. Love you, Philly.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Go Birds!
Yeah, baby.
Woo!